Are we live on air?
We are. Sound is good.
Right. Everybody, thanks for tuning in.
Let's get started.
Let's get started. We give everybody. Let's just wait 2 more minutes for the last people to join us, and then we'll get started.
It's pretty filled up already, so that's looking good.
Thanks everybody for tuning in this morning. We got well over 50 people joining us today, so it's really really cool. For us, it's the first webinar as Paazl. I'm glad to have Trunkrs joining us. We're happy to see so many people tuning in on this Thursday morning.
I'm glad to be here. It's an awesome topic.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's some cool stuff to talk about today.
We do actually. People still coming in.
We're in the Paazl office here in sunny Amsterdam. It's looking great. And I think it's about time we get going.
Let's get going.
Well, we're here today to talk about same-day delivery, a hot topic in e-commerce today. And joining me today is Jan Wijn from Trunkrs, one of the same-day delivery experts here in the Benelux. I'll just briefly focus on our presentation. Let's just briefly introduce ourselves. I'm Alvar Piepers, marketing manager at Paazl. We are a delivery management platform for e-commerce, so we help online retailers improve their delivery experience worldwide. We do this for leading online retailers throughout Europe. And joining me today is Jan Wijn from Trunkrs, who we've invited to co-host this webinar because he is one of the go-to experts in the Benelux when it comes to same-day delivery.
Thank you, Alva. Yeah, great to be here. Thanks for inviting us. Yeah, Trunkrs obviously is a same-day delivery company founded because we think that we can help e-commerce by providing really receiver experience focused services. And that we're doing now, and great to be here and talk with you about it. So if you look at what we do now, just to give you an idea, we work for large companies like Zalando, famous brands like Auger in the Netherlands, but we have many customers also in pharmacy, drugstores, car parts, everything basically. So it's great. It's a great field. It's in development. So we'll do it.
Cool. Well, what's on the agenda for today? A brief breakdown of what we're going to talk about in the next 45 minutes. We'll try to keep the talk within 30 minutes to give you some room for Q&A. On the agenda today, let's start just briefly explain what same-day delivery is and what we mean by it throughout this presentation, because there can be some confusion. Next up, we're going to look at the effects of same-day delivery. What's it going to mean for your business? What can it mean for your business? We have some interesting facts both from research and actual online retailers. Next up, we're going to help you answer the question, do I need same-day delivery for my online store? We look at your target audience, products, and how you want to position yourself as a brand. We think those three components kind of will get you on your way to answering that question. Next up is pricing. What does it actually cost to start offering same-day delivery? But also, what are customers willing to pay? Are they willing to pay at all? And finally, we're going to look at the implications on your organization. So both behind the scenes as well as in your online store, you have to make some adaptations to make this work for you. Some minor, some a little bit more major. And we're going to just briefly talk about those as well. And closing down with takeaways and plenty of room for you to ask questions. Starting up with the simple question, what is same-day delivery? We kind of
Yeah, that's a good question. Obviously, we get it a lot from different customers, and basically what it is, it's not order today, deliver tomorrow. It's also not order now, deliver within 2 hours, but it's really order today and deliver it the same evening. That's really what we are talking about this day.
Cool, cool. Yeah, there's can be some confusion. Some people think in same day delivery. There's also examples of online retailers that have like bike messengers jumping on their bike as soon as an order is in, and delivering the order as if it were a pizza, and delivering it within 2 hours. That's also maybe even more premium option, but that's not what we're talking about today. Today we're kind of a traditional logistics setup in which all the orders get picked and packed, collected together, and then shipped out via a hub throughout different cities in the evening. It's the same evening. And typically you see cutoff time, so until 2 o'clock in the afternoon, 3 o'clock in the afternoon means delivery somewhere between 6 and 10 in the evening. Well, why is same-day delivery even a topic today? Well, briefly, e-commerce is still growing, but it's growing really fast. But there's still plenty of opportunity to grow even faster. Today, depending on the country, but on average, roughly 12% of all physical retail is online worldwide. So there's still plenty of room for physical retail to move online. And one of the key things that can accelerate this growth is the speed of delivery. When asking consumers what are the problems you encounter when purchasing online, top of their list is speed of delivery. So there's plenty of consumers who will probably buy more online if the speed of delivery increases, which is a nice bridge to the effects of same-day delivery.
Yeah, and as you just showed, there's already done a lot of research by various companies, consultancy companies, expert in the field, researching what the effects could be of delivering faster. We all know that free delivery is something that's really important for many consumers. But if you look at it well, you also see like 35% in the research of Walker Sands telling that they would be likely to shop more if they will be able to get the shipments same day delivered. And more interesting actually is the next slide, which will tell you that the loyalty of people using same day delivery is really high. Like 75% of the consumers who buy something at a web shop, use same day delivery, have the intention to come back. You see that the delivery experience is a really important factor in creating loyalty and customer relations for all web shops, basically.
Even more so for the millennials. So the younger kids are even more so loyal when offered same-day delivery.
Yeah, that's awesome to see, and you also see it in the slides that we'll touch upon later on. Fast delivery, especially for the younger guys and girls, really important. We also found research detailing what really will make you loyal to a brand. Again, it's more or less the same, but it's a different research also detailing that same-day delivery is on the top of the list when it is for the generations Y and Z, so the younger folks that are really interested in having the same-day delivery, and the opportunity to be able to use it at a certain web shop really drives customer loyalty. And I think that's a really important factor for web shops. You see more and more web shops working on building customer relationships that last. Returning customers, always really interesting, obviously. So you want to find the way to make the difference there, and same-day delivery is definitely one of them.
Yeah, keeping your customers is in most cases cheaper and easier than always attracting new customers. So we see it indeed focus shifting from conversion optimization more to retention, because keeping your customers is maybe even more important than attracting new ones.
Definitely. And the awesome thing is it's not just research that tells this, because research is always not necessarily exactly the same as real data. But fortunately, we also have some large web shops that have shared some data. For example, Zalando has shared information where they tell us that the time between purchases from a customer that has used same-day delivery is way lower. So they return way faster than when they don't have the service. It significantly increases the NPS and the reorder frequency, besides the fact that the positive feedback really helps to spread the name of Zalando. So that's an awesome result, right? And that's even stronger at bol.com, where in a recent interview with the Financial Times Benelux, Financieel Dagblad, Huub Vermeulen told people that they have this bol.com Plaza where thousands of web shops use the bol.com portal to sell their stuff to consumers. And what they see is that when delivery is offered faster, in this case, when they use the complete logistical service proposition of bol.com, that increasing the speed of delivery eventually increases the revenue of those web shops with a staggering 30%. And that's just an average, right? So that's awesome.
Yeah, some cool data backing up all the research we see in the market. So all the signals are pointing in the right direction for same-day delivery. But how can you further assess if this is something that's interesting for you as an online store? Is it going to work for you with the same staggering results? But to determine if same-day delivery is relevant for you as an online store and for your consumers, we look at 3 different factors. Your target audience, so who are you targeting with your online store, your brand, your products? What kind of products do you have on offer? Is it something people need urgently, or is it something people are willing to wait for? And thirdly, how do you position yourself as a brand? Do you see yourself more as a premium player or as a budget company where price is the most important driver of sales? Starting with the consumers that want or ask for same-day delivery. We've seen it already in some of the studies before. Younger people, they typically lead more busy lives and they demand same-day delivery more. So when looking at Generation Y, which is roughly people born in the mid-80s to mid-90s, we see 30% of consumers responding or saying that same-day delivery is an important topic to them. This drops for the generations below, well down to 5% for senior people who are most likely at home more often than young kids are who go to school or work a lot. This is backed up again by research by McKinsey, the consultancy firm. They looked at the specific details of people who like same-day delivery, and what they see is that young people in general base their choice in delivery more on speed than older people do, with well over 13% points. So this is not 13% average, but a 13% point average, which, for example, when 10% of the elderly people find same-day delivery important, it means that 23% of young people find this important. So it's a percent points, which is more than a percentage in general. Interesting stuff. Also, looking at characteristics, McKinsey finds that people living in urban areas are more likely to pay for same-day delivery than those in rural areas. So in general, they are more demanding the service and are even willing to pay for it up to €3 extra. Same difference we see between people with high incomes versus people with mid to low incomes. More affluent, richer people typically demand same-day delivery more and are more willing to pay for it than low-income people. And finally, those leading a busy lifestyle, what McKinsey thinks are people who are work a lot, don't have a lot of free time, are not off on the weekends, or have very busy lives. Naturally, they are more willing to pay for same-day delivery and in general are more demanding it than those who lead a more laid-back, relaxed lifestyle with plenty of spare time. Summing up, we see that the people really demanding this service are typically young, living in urban areas, a little bit more high income than average, and a busy life. So if this is something you're interested in, stick to the cities and you'll see best results. Is this also something you see in the data at Trunkrs when looking at where the most deliveries go to?
Yeah, we see obviously in the cities high demand for same-day delivery, which is not to say that in the suburban areas there's also a lot of things going there. Typically not the same kind of things, but more the things that are used in those areas. Yeah, it's obvious actually. But obviously the most orders are placed definitely in the urban areas.
Yeah, cool. Well, that's looking at it from a target audience perspective. So already you might see some fit with your target audience. Further along, we're also looking at what kind of products is same-day delivery best suited for. What kind of products do people want to have today and not tomorrow? And what is kind of product that if they cannot get it today, they might still hop on their bike or jump in their car to get it in a store. So what is something, where's most potential when it comes to products? Again, some interesting research by McKinsey. First up, they asked consumers what kind of products did you not order online because you had to wait for the delivery too long. So what is something you urgently needed? You went online, but you saw that delivery was slow, so it encouraged you to still buy offline. So it's still the 20% plus, or I mean the 80% plus of products that's bought offline today. Major factor is the same-day delivery speeds, and it's highest for groceries. So people still go to the supermarket to get their groceries because they want to have something on their plate tonight. Next up is medications. You can imagine myself, I have a kind of a hay fever. It's hay fever season here in Amsterdam. And when I don't have my medicine for hay fever and I'm sneezing all day, good chance that I'm going to the store to get it. But if I could get it the same day and get it delivered tonight, it might be an interesting option as well. And thirdly, really interesting is general media, but games in particular. When a new game comes out, the gamers, they want to get started right away. They want to dig in and just play the game tonight. So we also see a lot of media retailers, but game retailers in particular, offering same-day delivery for new releases. People buying online. Yeah, it is. We see a real spike when a new game is released in same-day delivery orders. And moving down the list, we see things that are less deal breakers for consumers. It's small electronics and also apparel and cosmetics. It's more of a nice to have same-day delivery or fast delivery in general than it's a real must-have. So people are kind of willing and maybe known to waiting for those kind of products a little bit longer. Moving over, when is same-day delivery wanted? We kind of see a similar list. So topping the list is groceries. People want to have their groceries ordered today, delivered tonight. Healthcare, again, the medicine. And next up, specialty snacks, alcohol. It's really stuff people need urgently. And again, we see the clothing, accessories, fashion stuff. It's further down the list. People are willing to wait for that a little bit longer, and same-day delivery might be more of a nice to have than a real must have. So I kind of divided it up between the must items and the nice to have items when it comes to same-day delivery. So if you really want to compete in the grocery market, healthcare, games or gifts, same-day delivery we consider a must have.
Definitely.
And when in the electronics, fashion, beauty market, it's more of a nice to have. So it won't be a real conversion booster, but it's more of a nice to have for the consumer, something as a premium service you can surprise them with, but you're not gonna scare your customers away if you don't offer it.
Yeah, basically, there are two elements really affecting this. One is the urgency that people feel to have something. I mean, if the battery of your car is broke, you can't drive, right? So you want to have it fast, so there's a real need there to have it urgent. And the other one is how eager are you to receive the things that you have ordered? If you have bought yourself a wonderful dress or an awesome telephone, you want to have it as fast as possible because you want to have it. So those are the things that really drive it: the urgency of the need versus the eagerness to have it in your hands. Yeah.
but these are statistics that we might see change in the future. It's always a matter of, is it available or not? So not a lot of people are used to same-day delivery yet, especially maybe in fashion or electronics. So when it's getting more and more popular, people might get used to the option of having it today, and the demand might jump for those items as well.
That's definitely something that you see happening, obviously. It's also a really new product for many web shops, and also for the consumers. So when and how do we use it? But you really see a change coming up there. And that also is reflected in the type of brands that are using the services. And that's also, I think, an important topic to talk about here. If you look at do you offer the same day delivery services, it's also a question of, does it fit your market and your brand? What is the market that you're in, and what is your brand positioning that you want to have? When same day came up in the beginning, it was really something for the really luxury products. Everyone knows the story of Net-a-Porter flying in with a water plane to the Hamptons to deliver same day to the rich people from New York, which is of course an awesome example of giving a staggering service. But you also see that other companies are stepping into. Also in the Netherlands, you see companies that are really focusing on services. An example here is, for example, Coolblue, who has started years ago offering same-day delivery as one of the first. They're really focusing on services. That's really the way they position themselves. And so the question here, do you self-position as really a service brand? And then you shouldn't only think about the online experience, but also the experience in the complete customer journey. And then the delivery is a really important factor to calculate with. Or are you more focused on pricing? If you're really a budget seller, then maybe it's not so interesting for you. And that also depends on, for example, the competitiveness of your market. If there's a lot of competition in your market, even if there's a lot of focus on price, you also have to do other things to make the difference. And that's also when same-day delivery is a really interesting option to offer. Think of things like drugstores, think of fashion. And you also see that in the other countries around us, but also in the States, that the companies like Amazon have really pushed forward the same-day delivery service, basically all the logistical services, to really take the market share that they are aiming for. And what they're aiming for is pretty big, and it's no surprise to me that they use these kind of services to make the difference.
It's a cool development. The United States are typically a little bit ahead, well, or similar to Europe when it comes to service levels, and it's really interesting now. You see Walmart, Target, also a big retailer there. They're all competing to get a share of the online market, a share that's mostly in hands of Amazon. And well, the key battleground for them is same-day delivery. Target, the CEO, just last week he told everybody that he thinks that the first retailer who's able to offer same-day delivery nationwide in the United States, that's going to be the winner of the future. So they really see same-day delivery as the key battleground in getting the online market share in the United States. And I think it's a trend we will see in Europe as well.
It's happening already, to be honest. At Trunkrs, we talk a lot of, obviously, with all kinds of web shops. And you see more and more web shops also referring to the large ones in the Netherlands, so Coolblue, Bol.com, Zalando, who are really setting the pace. I think in a way they are also following the lead of Amazon, but it's happening. It's a wave, it's coming, and you want to be at the front of it.
Interesting. Also mentioning Amazon last week was the CEO of FedEx. Was talking about the Amazon effect. At FedEx, they really see a crazy high demand for same-day delivery over the last few months. And the CEO of FedEx, he pointed to Amazon saying, they're just shaping the market. With their same-day delivery offering, all the consumers expect stores to offer same-day delivery now. And if you don't offer it, you can't compete anymore. So Amazon is leading the way, but a lot of online stores are following. It's an interesting development.
And it's being picked up fast, I have to say. There's many web shops working on it. So if you order it, and we just saw the image of Amazon, who is really promoting the free same-day delivery, and that's also a question that we get from many web shops. What is the right price to work with same-day delivery? There's two important aspects here, obviously. First of all, what's the cost for the web shop? And the other one is the question, so small distraction here, how do you make money on it? So what on average you always say is that you have your basic, your standard shipment fee that's different per web shop, obviously mostly depending on the volumes that you ship with your main carrier. Look at that kind of fee that you're paying, same day delivery will be around €3 more. So that's pretty low already. It has been way higher till a year, 2 years ago, but it's really becoming the new standard, I guess.
It's kind of a, how do you say in Dutch? We say kip of the eye, chicken or the egg, what comes first? Of course, prices drop when volumes increase. So as same-day delivery volumes grow, we'll see this price dropping. Zalando is already predicting that same-day delivery prices in the urban areas they service will drop to the regular next-day prices they get with their carriers, or maybe even below that.
Yeah, now I have to say that Zalando is a really professional company organizing it in a really specific way. But yeah, the prices will become lower over time. That's definitely what's going to happen.
But also interesting looking at not just from a cost perspective, but also when asking the consumer, are you willing to pay? We've seen before that free shipping, it still reigns supreme. Everybody, when asked about delivery, they all scream, we want free delivery. But same-day delivery is just a little different. When asked what are the shipping options you want to pay for, leading out at 75% is same-day delivery. So over half of people are willing to pay for same-day delivery, which is even more than those for next-day delivery. Of course, next-day delivery for those in the Netherlands, it's kind of a standard service. When you move already to Germany or United States, next-day delivery is also more of a premium thing than a standard thing. But yeah, same-day delivery here, it's leading the way. It's also confirmed by an earlier study. Are you willing to pay for same-day delivery? 2/3 of the people say, yes, I'm willing to pay. And not just a little. Some people are even willing to pay 6 to 9 or even €10 more if it means they get their order delivered tonight. So maybe they're even willing to pay more than it costs you as an online store to offer this option.
Yeah, and that's also what we see in practice, that people are willing to pay for it. On the same time, you see that the lower the price that the consumers are asked to pay for it, the higher the demand for it is. So it's also really a question for yourself as a brand. Do I want to offer it as a service? Do I want to make a difference? Do I want to give this to them to get a relation? Or do I offer it as a service that the people have to pay for themselves?
Yeah, I think it's also you need to look at the kind of products people really want same day. So when going back to the product slides we shared, maybe groceries, healthcare, you're able to charge a little bit for same day delivery, whereas for fashion, it's more of a nice to have thing. You might drop your price to more of as a service component and less as an urgent.
Yeah, you would really use it as a marketing tool there and get the extra conversion, the better retention, and make your money on the margins in your business.
Yeah, so that's something you can decide on. Even more facts here. Willingness to pay again differs for the kind of items you people wanna buy, but in general, half of people, over 50% of people, are willing to pay for same-day delivery. So when offering it, we typically advise people to charge at least a little bit of money for it to get some money back on it. In general, plenty of customers want to pay, not too much. Jan typically advises people, €2 or €2.
Yeah, it really depends on how you want to use it. Do you want to use it as something to build your relationship with your customers and to increase your conversion? Keep it as low as possible. But if you just want to offer it as a service beside that people have to pay for themselves, I would also always recommend to keep it below €2 to make it not too expensive for the consumer. And that's €2 on top of the usual fee that you ask for.
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously that's also a question that we get a lot. You know, what are the implications for my organization? How complex is it to make this happen? You know, we have this whole operation going. It's completely focused on delivering in one time slot all the shipments. So what happens if we have a smaller part of our orders having to be picked in the afternoon? And that's definitely true. It's a change of organization. It's also a huge benefit. You spread the order pick and pack over different time slots, which gives you a lesser peak or better use of your resources. We also see that many of our customers abuse the service or use the service to back up the overflow. It's always hard to exactly estimate the capacity that you need in the evening and all the extra capacity that you use or that you have in place and that you don't use costs a lot of money. Instead, you can also say we have a certain capacity and everything that we produce extra the evening before, we give it to the same day delivery company the next morning and have it delivered next day as we promised to the consumer. You also see that there's a lot of companies using it as a quick fix for customer complaints. Someone receives something, is not really happy with it, and it's so pleasant for the customer service employee to be able to say, okay, I'll make it happen. You will have the new package in your home tonight. And you see that really helps also in building relationships with your customers. We also see some warehouses say, well, the peak of my orders, is at 9 o'clock, and after that, it's not so much actually. But I do have to keep 3 people in the warehouse, like 11 o'clock to finish up. And we close the warehouse early. Everything that's booked after that time slot, they'll just give it the next day to the same day delivery company and make sure that's still delivered next day. And that's also something that we see in reverse. It's already so that many web shops, have a cutoff time, as it's called. So the time that you order till, for example, 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock in the evening, and afterwards it would be a delivery not next day, but next day plus 1. And also here you can really use the same day network as a hack. Expand your opening times of your web shop. So you can tell customers that if they order till 12 o'clock in the evening, they will receive it next day, and they will really love it.
Yeah, cool. Especially the last one we see happening at a lot of our clients as well, kind of hacking their cutoff time till midnight because they have like a same day delivery company to make it happen. So yeah, you really make your online store a 24/7 business, not only for ordering but also for delivery.
Yeah. And obviously, there's also some challenges to it. I mean, you have to be honest, you have to arrange for some things. And so you do have to arrange for a pick and pack route in the middle of the day. You also have to have the internal discussion. Who's going to pay for the extra cost? I mean, as we saw, it's a premium service, so it's a higher than standard cost. If you drop it at the logistic department, the natural desire would be to lower them as much as possible. But actually, if you're using it as a marketing tool to increase your conversion, your retention, to increase your revenue and your margins, then you should really think about what is the way we allocate the cost of this premium service. It's obviously an extra carrier added to your workflow, which also gives you a backup if one of the carrier lets you down. And it's a time-sensitive product. So if the agreement is that it will be picked up at 2 o'clock or whatever time that you have agreed with us or Sunday delivery company, you don't have any spare time. There's no margins for error in the process. So you have to make sure that it's there when the driver comes to pick it up.
Definitely, yeah. If people ask for same-day delivery, they really expect it to be there at that evening. We saw it last weekend. It was Mother's Day. Well, when you want to use same-day delivery for your Mother's Day gift, fresh flowers or some chocolate, you want it delivered on that Sunday. It's not an option. Whereas maybe with next day delivery on a pair of shoes, it's not. Still, you want to have it next day when that is promised, but when it's the day after, it might be less of a hassle when compared to a Mother's Day gift. So
Yeah.
a small margin for error you have to perform.
Yeah, and obviously you have to arrange it in your IT to make it visible in your checkout in the backend.
Yeah, that's where we at Paazl specialize in. Naturally, we also do some back-end work helping you arrange this in your warehouse. But where also really stand out is making sure that the same-day delivery option is implemented well in your online checkout. There are some implications when offering same-day delivery. First of all, you have to look at local availability. So maybe your general parcel carrier or parcel carriers have a large service area. They can cover an entire country. Same-day delivery company might only work in certain urban areas or might not work on certain islands or more remote areas. So first of all, that's something you have to calculate in your checkout, making sure that only the people who can get same-day delivery get the option appear in their checkout. Another implication is you have all of a sudden you have multiple cutoff times. So whereas your whole online store might be arranged around one cutoff time at say 10 in the evening, all of a sudden there's an extra cutoff for same-day delivery, which is maybe at 3 in the afternoon, which means that your checkout, when using something like a countdown timer, counting down to your cutoff time, you have to arrange for different cutoff times. And also same-day delivery might not be an option on every day of the week, not on a Sunday, not on a Saturday perhaps. So you have to arrange for the fact that it's not available on every single day. All of this is managed in Paazl, but when working on this, keep in mind that there's also implications on your front end. Summing up everything in 5 takeaways, what do we see, Jan?
Well, same-day delivery, it's growing. It's really helping you to drive your conversion and retention. In other words, it's really a marketing tool. You know, it depends on your products. It depends on the type of customers that you are servicing, and it depends on how you want to position your brand, market, and the competitive of your market to make a decision how much it will contribute to your goals. We also saw that consumers are willing to pay, but not much. So keep it below €2 and you'll see a serious uptake of the use of the service. You have seen that there are some operational benefits to using it and that they basically outweigh the challenges that are also there. And from Trunkrs, we have a lot of experience with other customers that have implemented it, and we are always there to help you do so. So always there for you.
Yeah, finally we see at Paazl that the adoption of same-day delivery, so the amount of people choosing the option, it's really related to how well you design the option and implement the option in throughout your customer journey in your web shop. So make it visible on your homepage, make it visible on the product page, make sure that every product where it is available, it's really highlighted. And of course, in the checkout, the moment of truth, really highlight the option and don't tuck it away somewhere in your checkout because that will really damage the adoption. So yeah, good design really drives the adoption of this service. But yeah, when well implemented, we see some companies. What are the percentages you get from customers same day versus the regular options?
It really differs in the type of product, type of consumers, but you have the range from 5%, I guess, from total amount of shipments, till about 30%.
Yeah, cool. That's a similar effect we see also. Again, depends on the kind of products you sell and the day, but stuff like Mother's Day can be huge for some online retailers. We've seen a real uptick in same day just last Sunday.
Yeah, we saw that in the winter. We have this battery for car shops that work with us, and in the winter we had a huge uptake.
Cool.
It was not a party as it was on Mother's Day, but they really needed it, and then you see that everyone wants to have it immediately.
Yeah.
So it really depends on your own situation, your web shop, how much it will be.
That makes sense. Right, guys. That's it for us for now. We just a little over time, but I think there's still plenty of time left for some questions. So if you have any questions, just ask them in the chat. Looking over at my colleague, are questions enabled? There's one question. I'll just briefly go to the Q&A mode. Just check where that's at.
Well, I think we can just read it from here. There are several questions that came in already. One question was, should we join Amazon and Zalando for same-day delivery? And would that be the only way to lift with more competitive prices? I think it's a great question. I don't think it's the only way, but I do think that if you really want to be in a competitive market, you want to be there in a profitable way with serious margins, you have to make the difference with awesome services. Same day delivery at this point in time is one of the most important ways to do so. So I would definitely recommend to go for this route instead of lowering your prices, which would be the alternative.
I agree. Well, to add to that, I think it's really something you have to. For a long time, it was more of a nice to have thing, but I think more and more it's a must-have service to compete in the online market with so much competition, also growing competition from foreign players. With same-day delivery, you can really make a difference, not on price but on service. So if you're competing against web shops from China, for example, where it takes 2 weeks but it's really cheap, same-day delivery might be something you can compete against long delivery times and low prices.
Yeah, I mean the world is changing and it's global, and the benefits that you can have, you should use them as well as you can. So yeah, I agree definitely.
Another question. So for small demand of same delivery, we should change our process, invest in new technically development. The bigger company, the easier it will be. Yeah, small demand is also something we can discuss about. As we've seen in the study, I think the demand, like the actual figures, don't reflect the actual demand. People are demanding this more than maybe even the figures suggest. Like when you look at people, asking them, do you want same-day delivery? A lot of people want it. It's just that they don't get it everywhere. So
yeah, that's definitely true. I think that Huub Vermeulen from bol.com, now he just gave the information about the data that they have, that on general faster delivery eventually leads to 30% more revenue. I don't know many other ways to make that kind of a bump in your revenue. And the second part is, it's not that hard actually to implement it. Yes, there are some things that have to be done during the day. Yes, you need to have some IT implementation, but you can use a platform like Paazl for the IT implementation or use the API of the provider. It's not that hard actually. It looks maybe bigger than it eventually turns out to be. So it's in the end it's a conclusion that you have to draw for yourself. But on the one hand, you have your revenue increase, your conversion, your customer loyalty, and on the other hand, you have some operational challenges that you have to undertake. And it's for you to make a decision if it is worthwhile to do it.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, when looking at the typical challenges we see at Paazl, in general, not just same-day delivery, but there's so much more delivery options today than there are just 2 years ago, and the number will only increase more. So I think you have to look at ways to speed up your technical development to adapt to all these new delivery options. And conversion, and you say small demand, I think conversion increases is about marginal gains. So all these delivery options, individually, they might add just a little bit to your conversion, and there might not be a huge demand, but added up in total, that's where the real benefit is. So I think, yeah, it's a matter of marginal gain. So you should be prepared for that as well.
Yeah, and more in general, as a smaller web shop, you are in competition with the larger ones. And actually, I think that in many cases, you want to make the difference with an awesome service. And this would definitely want to be run.
See if there's any other questions.
Yeah, there's a question here. asking if we have recommendations as to what cities to use the service for. Should they do it only in Amsterdam, or should they do it also in other cities? In general, it's not everywhere the same. Actually, in the Netherlands, you can just have nationwide coverage with same-day delivery without any problem, and it's not that expensive either. If you look at other countries, for example, Germany or France, you wouldn't get same-day delivery nationwide there. So basically, from a logistical perspective, you could say that the Netherlands is like one major city. So in the Netherlands, I would just offer it nationwide.
Yeah, definitely. Like the Randstad, it's similar to London when it comes to size. So when going to Amsterdam, just include Utrecht, Den Haag, Rotterdam. It's just right around the corner. So it's not that big of a country. So definitely look into those as well. You only do nationwide coverage at Trunkrs, right?
Yeah, in the Netherlands we do nation coverage. Obviously, eventually, you will see that most of your consumers will be using it in the cities. And we, as Trunkrs, as a same-day specialist, we are usually mostly active in the major cities. But there's no reason to exclude the other ones within the Netherlands.
Any price differences for like northern Netherlands versus only doing the Randstad? Would there be any price differences?
Well, if a web shop would choose to work only in certain cities, I would only recommend that if in that cities you would be able to have many shipments. I would say above a 50 a day. If you would be below a 50 a day, I would recommend to use the nationwide service to make sure that your numbers are high and your price will be way lower. So eventually it's just a numbers game. So use it as much as you can, serve as many consumers as you can, and build the conversion and loyalty.
Get the flywheel going. Another question from Jochem, asking Trunkrs if they will also jump into 1 or 2 hour delivery in the near future.
Yeah, looking at the future, what we see is that e-commerce is awesome, and the biggest disadvantage that it has compared to offline is the instant satisfaction that offline offers. And we truly believe that it's not necessary, and that in the near future we will go to 2 hour deliveries in the cities. Afterwards to a 1 hour delivery. So if you order it, have it within 1 hour. And it's not even that far in the future as we see it. And by doing so, it will maturize e-commerce as a real alternative for offline sales, offline retail. So yeah, that will definitely happen. I don't think it will be 2018, but pretty soon afterwards we'll start also with 2 hour deliveries in the cities.
Yeah. Makes sense. I mean, people are they can get it. You can't explain to people for a very long time anymore that they can get a pizza delivered 30 minutes from now, and if they want a pair of shoes, which is maybe in the store next to the pizza store, they have to wait to the next day.
Absolutely true, absolutely true. And the only, I think, the big challenge here is that most web shops have centralized stock in one warehouse somewhere in the Netherlands. And as soon as we are able to change that infrastructure and work with shared warehouses at the borders of the cities, you will see this kind of service really take a leap.
Yeah. And brands for kind of omni-channel retailers, it's a huge opportunity. You already have the stock in store in the cities. Just get somebody hop on the bike and then deliver in 2 hours.
Definitely. So this is really something that hardcore retail organizations or omni-channel organization have a huge benefit. You have many large shops in many cities, then you'll be one of the first to be able to execute these kind of services.
Yeah. All right. I see there's one more question, and I will round up things for today. Of course, you can reach us personally as well. We'll share our email addresses if you want to have any more questions. Let's see if.
Yeah, and if you are inspired and you think it may be interesting, call us or we contact you. to go more in depth on your specific situation and have a look at how it could work out for you.
Sarah's asking us if there's any chance this will be available to view this after today. We recorded everything and we'll share the recording. If you have any personal questions or want to look a little bit more into detail in the specific slides or share slides within your organizations, reach out to us and we'll help you on your way. And we'll see what we can do for you. That was it for today. Let's just briefly hop on the camera as well to say goodbye. Thanks for joining us today. First webinar at Paazl. Really good success, I think.
It was great to be here, and I hope we have been able to inspire many of our visitors to think about the service. And in case of any questions, just give us a call or an email and reach out, and we'll help you with it.
All right. Thanks very much, guys. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Have a great day.